Hey everybody, my name is Peter. Thanks for joining me at Our Worship Sound. I've gotten a couple questions lately about how to accompany yourself, your singing on piano, or it could even just apply to playing and singing at the same time. So I thought I'd offer some tips along those lines. I think the main thing to keep in mind is that when you're playing and you're singing at the same time, you're doing two different things, and you can't devote 100% of your focus and attention to each one. You have to kind of divide your attention between those two things. And the more attention that you can focus on your vocal, the better. So to do that, we want to take some of what we're doing on piano and just get it to the point where it's kind of automatic and we don't have to think about it as much. So here's some different things that we can do to get to that point. Number one, when you're playing your chord progressions, you want to be really on top of your inversions. And what I mean by that is you can play a chord three different ways. If you have three different notes, you can just play those notes in different orders. So this one is a C chord in root position, first inversion, and second inversion. And what the inversions allow you to do are to get around your chord progressions more smoothly. And when you're playing and singing at the same time, that's really important that you're not jumping all over the keyboard, because that takes a lot of your attention away from what you're singing, and it's gonna sound bad when you go to sing it. I've heard that in my own vocals a lot of times, that I can tell when my attention goes back to my piano because my vocals start sounding weird. But get on top of your inversions so you can get around your chord progressions more smoothly and easily. Number two, make connections to the key that you're playing in. We've talked about this a lot recently, but when I played a couple of videos ago a song called You Satisfy, I was playing in the key of C major. And so all the chords that I was playing, I was kind of thinking back to how they relate within the key of C major. To know when I'm playing a C chord, I'm playing the 1 chord. When I play an F, I'm playing the 4 chord. And it does a couple things. One, I think if you're having to think through, I need to play an A minor chord, and now I need to play an F chord, then a C/E, then a D minor 7. It takes a little bit more attention than if you can just think, I'm playing the 4 chord, then the 6 chord, then the 5 chord. But also, once you start thinking like that, you're going to build connections between your brain and your ears and your fingers, where some of that's just going to be more automatic, and you don't even have to think, I'm going to go to the 5 chord and then the 6 chord. You just begin to kind of have it under your fingers, and you hear where you need to go and you just go there. You're kind of playing by ear in a sense. So make connections back with the key, and that'll help make some of what you play on piano more automatic. Number three, alter your chords using notes from the scale that will sound good in the different chords. And so what I mean by that is if I'm playing in C major, the first note of the scale and the fifth note of the scale are going to sound good pretty much all the time. So I can put those notes in just about any chord, and number one, make them sound better. Number two, it's going to enable me to just play even kind of closer chord progressions and not have to jump around. I always know where I'm going to be and have a nice solid foundation there. For example, let me play some of these chords where I'm going to keep the fifth note of the scale on top of all of them. Okay, so the chords sound good, but they're also just in a nice small range, so I'm not jumping around, and it's not taking me a lot of attention to figure out where I need to go from there. Number four, add your melodies in between lyrics, in between lines of the song, okay? And I'm going to say this a couple different ways. So save your melodies. So go ahead and add melodies in between the lines of your song, in between what you're singing. And the other way I'm going to say it is save those melodies for in-between moments, okay? So what I mean by that is, let me play and sing a little bit of this, and I'll add some melodies. So, Jesus, you were more than enough for me. Turn my eyes from worthless things, Okay, so I added melodies in between, and that adds interest. It gives me more rhythm options, and it makes the chords and what I'm playing on piano sound a lot more interesting. But what it doesn't do is complicate the vocal when I'm singing. When I'm singing, number one, it's hard to play melodies on piano when you're also singing at the same time. But the other thing is that when you start to play melodies on piano, it's going to compete with what you're singing. So by all means, add melodies in between lyrics, but save those melodies for in between, so it's not competing and it's not taking up too much mental energy to do those things. And finally, you want to be on top of your sounds. If you're adding other sounds to whatever you're playing as your main keyboard sound, you want to make sure that you have them set up well so that you don't have to spend a lot of attention dealing with them while you're singing. As I was doing this, I was adding some other layers to the sound using main stage, as I pretty much always do. And I always have main stage set up so I can mix the different sounds. For example, I can bring up the pad sound with this knob. Okay, I also have this other sound in here. It's a little brighter. I always have it set up so that I can mix it. But when I'm singing and playing at the same time, I want to be able to not have to mix it and spend too much thought going into that. So what I do is I pretty much always set up different patches for different levels or dynamics of the song. So I have a soft patch, a medium patch, and a loud patch that I can just press a drum pad on my MIDI controller and go to the next one. So I'll start soft. Then when it gets to the next level of the song, I go to the medium patch. And it's a little bit brighter sounding, a little bit more dynamic. And then I get into the main part, or the bridge part. More than enough for me. Turn my eyes from worthless things. Okay. So then instead of mixing different knobs and kind of listening to it and assessing if I got it right or not, I already have it pre-mixed. I can just go to the next level, and it's really easy to do that. So get on top of your sounds. It's one less thing that you have to think about as you're playing and singing at the same time. So I do have some resources available to help you get to that point with your piano playing where some of these things can be automatic. Either the Fluent Piano Chords or Fluent Piano courses are going to help you get there. If you need to solidify your chords, check out Fluent Piano Chords, or if you're learning to add melodies, check out Fluent Piano Melodic. And then to get on top of the sounds and play great sounds through your Mac computer, check out the Main Stage Keyboard course. Hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.